Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the high ILS approach into Barnes Air Force Base. This is a really cool approach. We've done some high ILS before, but I've got an opportunity recently to basically have this explained to me in a way that makes a little more sense, so I'll try to do that to you as well. Basically what a high ILS approach is you're an airplane, probably a military airplane, actually only a military airplane, hence the special aircraft required, and your task is to go from very high altitudes where you have plenty of fuel, and then come down to low altitudes where you tend to burn a lot of fuel. So the idea here is starting altitudes are at 10,000 or higher for this particular. We're actually going to come in at 20,000 today just to make things kind of fun for us. So the way this one works is pretty straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to come around at Pudgy. We're going to take off, do a 6-6 climb up to a Pudgy. We're going to go up to 20,000 feet. And then we're going to execute a turn. What you notice here is this is a DME arc that we're going to be coming down here. And you can see it's a 16 nautical mile arc. But your brain, of course, is not going to like this because the 16 nautical mile arc is going to terminate at the 12.9 nautical mile from Barnes, channel 77, by the way, in case you forget, from Barnes, which is a little weird because when you do the math on this, especially if you're a fan of SkyVector, you'll realize it's not really an arc and it's more of a straight line at 300 degrees. So basically, cross Pudgy, go straight across, grab the localizer, and then come in for a landing. Where things get a little interesting as far as trying to land this one, of course, is the fact we're going to be doing 20,000 feet all the way down in about 8 miles, down to, 4,000 feet, which you can see pretty clearly here at or above. So it's going to make it kind of interesting for us. It also relies us to switch radio settings and things like that very quickly. Like I said, kind of fun. And we're going to kind of have to match all those things all at the same time. So let's go ahead and get going here. So the first thing I've done here is I've already selected 77 X-ray. After selecting 77 X-ray, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go between my legs. I'm going to go ahead and grab this guy. We're going to be doing a 66 here, and I can set it right over here, right there. It's about as close as it's going to get. To be honest with you, I'm just going to fly at a 66 heading and try to keep it somewhat centered. I don't expect to be able to do it perfectly here. Like I said, I will do the best I can kind of a thing, but I'm not guessing. I'm not thinking like I'm going to get that perfect or anything like that. Next, what I'm going to do is pop over here. I'm going to go pop on TACAN mode here, and now you can see it's kind of chilling like that. This will straighten up in a little while. Like I said, I'm not really worried about it. I've got everything that I need between my legs here. I also kind of know where I'm going, so it's not going to be that hard for us. And the other thing we're going to need, of course, is the ILS frequency. And you can see we're on 111.10. This is going to be 111.9. Believe it or not, when we're done. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not popping that in there right away, it's because you're going to be hearing a lot of beeping noises, and I'm not going to do the beeping bit until we get a little bit higher and basically come around for actual approach. So one thing we're going to have to do, of course, is pay very close attention to the distance we are from Barnes, and you can see right here we're at 0.9 nautical miles away. Remember, Pudgy, which is that point where we're going to take that left turn to 300, is going to be at a distance of 16 nautical miles, and then we're basically going to drop out of the sky. Sounds like fun. Let's do it. Ready to go. I don't need to look at that the whole time. There we go. Awesome. Love the F-16 for this. It makes it so much easier. 120, 130, 140, 150, 160. Gear up. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of climb here. Give it a half a second here, and I can see the DME is right over here. Makes my life much simpler. And that'll work perfectly for me. Now I'm going to go ahead and execute a right turn. Right. We're going to go swing over here. I'm going to go ahead and look between my legs right here, and you can see we're just about at the correct position here. And one of the things you're noticing is probably the incessant beeping noise that is started up right away. If I go here and click that, we'll also get an incessant beeping noise, which is exactly what I don't want. So I'm actually going to do 110 here. Can I actually put this one in here? Is that going to tolerate that? No, it's not going to tolerate that. That's okay, though. Clear. 111.15. Let's put in a really fake number. There we go. That should break this thing real well. Fantastic. So I'm going to switch back over to TACAN mode there, and we're running away from Barnes exactly like I wanted. You can... Why are you, questioning me? Also, going up... Look at that. I told you we'd be able to make it, no problem. And you were, nervous for a second there. You're like, there's no way he's going to be able to get that distance away from that distance. All right, look at that. We're cruising perfectly here. Climbing right away. We're at 6.2 nautical miles, 16,000 feet. Gotta love performance. And we have to start leveling off, otherwise we're going to massive noob. We're going to overshoot 20,000 pretty bad here. Down! There we go. Come spin around. Not the most glorious correction there, but I knew I was going to overshoot it. And there we are. We're now at 20,450 feet. Going to my left just a tiny bit. Go ahead and level ourselves out here. And we're getting about 280 indicated there. That's plenty. Let's see what we got down below. It looks pretty good to me. Right on course. So what we're going to do now is we're going to enjoy this part of the journey because this is the simple part. And again, just going to let go. I can actually pop on the autopilot and everything. And what we're doing is we're monitoring the TACAN here. We're waiting for this TACAN to get itself up to 60 nautical miles, because that's pudgy. Well, while that's going on, of course, one of the things I'm going to do for the purposes of this demonstration is I'm actually going to be swinging this around to 204. Now, the reason for that is because that's going to be our setup point. And you'll see what I mean once we get there. All right, 12 nautical miles. I'm still on that kind of 6.6. I can actually come a little bit more. You can actually see we're basically perfectly on it. Getting a little bit of reverse sensing going on here, but there's nothing unusual. If you're telling to take a look at our chart here, we're on this one right here, getting ready for that left turn right there at Pudgy. And then we got to theoretically fly an arc. It's not going to be an arc. It's going to be a straight line. Let's be realistic here. Enjoy this nice part. This is the relaxing part of the journey. The hard part starts in just a moment. Go ahead and get that one armed and ready to go. I'm going to pop that into that position once we get a little bit closer. There's 14.5 on the DME. You can see I'm just about to Pudgy. And again, just enjoy it. Wasn't that amazing how fast this thing climbs? This is just stupid. I don't know why I'm losing. Got so much drag, though. It's not like I'm carrying anything. But, I'll give it a little bit more thrust here. There we go, 20,000. Now we're back at least where we need to be. Look at that. Our distance is just about 16 nautical miles, and now we're going to go ahead and execute our turn. Here we go. So the way this was explained to me is basically you're going to execute a pretty steep bank turn and get down to about 10 degrees nose down at about 300 knots. So I'm going to go ahead and stomp on it real quickly here. I'm going to go cancel out a little bit of that turn. Theoretically, we're supposed to be staying on the 16 DME, but you're basically mathematically not going to be able to do that easily. It's just too sharp of a turn. As you can see, I'm 17 on the DME right now. There we go. It's about 300 knots. And again, I'm looking for 10 degrees. We were going a little fast there. There we go. We're just coming around to about 300 degrees, which is kind of what we agreed on there. So there, getting a little fast. That's okay. And we're perfect right there. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hold 300 knots in about a 10-degree descent, which you can see we're doing right now. And then we're going to get ready for our landing. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up here and pop this into 111.9. I'm going to go switch on ILS mode here. And you can see we've got our ILS. We've actually already seeing it showing up. And just like I promised, you're going to start hearing a series of beeps every once in a while. I try to kind of talk through the beeps for you, so to speak. There we go. I'm just going to keep that nose down here. Get it looking pretty good. Again, we're going about 300 knots in about 10-degree descent. Remember, we need about 4,000 feet when we get to that particular point there. Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. I'm just going to come to my left just a little bit more. And again, I'm trying to square up pretty hard. Theoretically, we're supposed to be riding that 16 DME here, but I would need to be able to see both of them. And the TACAN right now, we're about 15 nautical miles on the TACAN. If you're wondering how I know that, you can actually see it right here. And we should be a little bit further to the right, but remember, we do have to kind of cut across. Getting a little bit more airspeed there. We don't need that much. Like I said, we're going to kind of bottom out at 14 grand. One of the most incredible parts of this entire experience is if you time this correctly, which you'll notice is down here on the CDI indication, is that thing will magically start centering itself right when you hit 4,000 feet. That's if I did it right. Keep in mind I'm being a little reckless with my airspeed here, but everything else is pretty good. Now, one of the things you've got to remember is this was designed for high-performance airplanes that travel very, 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 very fast. If you actually look, you can see leads and fobs. Oh, we were so close. So close. Oh, we were so close. Look at that. 5,800 feet. I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm going to be close. Oh, there it is. And there's the localizer right there. Go ahead and pull nice and tight there. There we go. Line ourselves up nice and square. I'm going to go ahead and straighten this thing out. And look at that. We are now on an ILS approach. Not what you expected. Let me go ahead and pause for a second so you can see everything that's going on. So looking up at my display, you can see we're already correctly on glide slope. You can see we're already more or less on the localizer. And you can also see we're right about 4,000 feet. Not only all of that, but if you were to come down here, you'll observe that our aircraft has just crossed Leeds. Now, if I actually take a look at this real quick, you can see very, very clearly that Leeds, like I said, we're kind of getting to that spot. We're supposed to be about 3,000 feet, not 4,000 feet. Now, the reason they do it at that altitude, look at how misleading this is, by the way. See how this is 4,000 feet down to 3,000? The reason they do that is so that the ILS, the glide slope, is actually above your head. But as you probably noticed from that diagram there, the ILS is actually right on it. So if I actually were to unpause right now, and I go ahead and I'll kind of pull the throttle back, you can see I'm already lined up. I've got my glide slope correct, and I've got my localizer. Actually, I got to come to the right teeny tiny bit. And if you look way, 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 way off in the distance, you can see this airplane is already there and lined up for a standard, regular old-fashioned ILS approach. 7 minutes later. I didn't want you to watch me do the entire approach. We had a pretty good amount of distance there. But I did go ahead and change that mode out so I wasn't constantly beeping at you. I think you got the idea. So as you can see, it's a pretty cool approach. It requires some really steep speed angles as well as a pretty high speed in order to execute it smoothly. But at the end of the day, it's really just an ILS approach with a very, very steep first part. If you can get past that steep first part, it's actually a really, really straightforward approach. And that's one of the reasons why I like approaches like that, because it's just something a little bit different to make your day a little more fun if you're flying any kind of aircraft. Now, one of the things I, of course, was thinking is like, what would you do if you were trying to fly this like in an Airbus or something like that? And you definitely could probably pull it off in an Airbus. It's going to be a little quick and probably hard on the pressurization system on board the airplane to do that. But other than that, enjoy.